We are some of the most passionate, loyal, amazing fans there are in the NFL. And I've also been seeing a consistent trend. Like, we finally have a good season. You think your poop don't stink. And you're just off chomping at the bit. Keyboard warriors, whatever. You know, you've got this sense of pride and ego and whatever else about you now because the Detroit Lions have finally arrived into a good ball team. But there's something that's happening right now that has been cultivated, I guess, maybe by decades of futility, if you will. And that's, you know, how we treat our players. And what I mean by that is, you know, you have a certain group of fans that, you know, whether they're same old Lions fans, you know, part of that whole SOL group, maybe they're new Lions fans and they don't understand the history, or maybe they're, you know, just some of the OG Lions fans that, you know, we're fed up and have had enough. But what I'm saying here, what's been cultivated is almost like this blame game, you know, always blaming somebody for something without really looking, you know, a little bit deeper at the situation and taking, you know, more information from other sources to really develop a good, solid, you know, idea or, you know, opinion about something. Sometimes we just shoot off at the mouth or the keyboard or whatever. And that's why emotional intelligence is so important. Take a minute, think about it before you answer. You know, if someone does something to, you know, make you mad or whatever, you know, it's always been told to you, I'm sure, by numerous people, myself included. Just take 5. Take 5. Just let yourself cool down. Same thing applies to anything you put on social media. Take 5. Take 5 minutes, think about it. You know, if you do like I do, you write a text, you write an answer or an opinion or whatever on whatever social media platform. Maybe someone's just going hard and they really are wrong and you want to set them straight. And look, I've written things and erased it, written it and erased it, and written it and erased it over and over and over again because I was feeling bad for what I was going to say. And maybe I shouldn't. But, you know, at the same time, you try to be professional about it. Not everybody does. Not everybody cares. But there's a real toxic behavior is what I'm talking about. And it is so toxic that Josh Reynolds decided to go to Denver because of the fans. Because everybody was blaming him for dropping a pass in the NFC title game. But never once did you consider the fact all of the catches that he made to get us to that game. He's been one of the most consistent receivers after Amon-Ra St. Brown on this team in a very long time. Like extremely long time. Calvin Johnson, long time. So I'm going to read you something that, and this is not an April Fool's Day joke or anything. This is serious business. I'll just read you the article. It says the Detroit Lions fan base was certainly frustrated by veteran wideout Josh Reynolds that had his worst game of the 2023 NFL season in crucial moments in the second half against the San Francisco 49ers. After being a reliable target all season, Reynolds had multiple drops that significantly impeded Detroit's ability to slow down the growing momentum of San Francisco coming out of halftime. Now, multiple, doesn't that mean more than 3? So he had a couple, and I think he was credited with 1. So whoever wrote this, you're wrong in your assessment. See, that's part of the problem, is that if media gets it wrong and the fans run away with it, now everybody's wrong. Go back to watch the game. He had 1 critical drop. You can't say every drop was critical. He had 1 critical drop in a crucial moment. 1. So anyway, it goes on to say that Reynolds certainly was the target of negativity online from a fan base stinging from a heartbreaking loss. Some of that stuff is acceptable. Some of that stuff is part of the process, part of dealing, coping, venting your frustrations. And we get it, man. We were 30 minutes away from a Super Bowl berth in a game that I think that we would have won. But Reynolds certainly signed a contract offer to get away from Detroit that really wasn't that much better than what apparently he was getting. But they're trying to say that Brad Holmes gave him a underwhelming contract offer and then didn't talk to him for days. I don't know that I believe in that, but maybe we'll find out later. Maybe we'll hear it from Brad Holmes. Maybe it'll be addressed with actual factual numbers. Who knows? But here's a direct quote from Jeff Risdon, who says people in his camp, his being Josh Reynolds, we're encouraging him to find a better place away from some of the toxicity of certain Detroit fans. I know he took some of it to heart. Look, this is bad, because if you guys really want to build a team and you're going to, completely light people up for having a bad day or a bad game, and we see it with Jared Goff, I'm surprised that he even wants to stick around. Maybe that's why there's not a deal done yet. Maybe he's seen the vicious Detroit fans that are out there that just don't have anything better to do than be toxic and negative. We're trying to build something here as a fan base. We're trying to go places. We need to keep the good guys around. It's been a very long time that this team has been able to attract, elite level talent and elite level coaching and do what we're about to do and have done this last season. If you want to continue that, if you want to be part of finally hoisting a Lombardi trophy and having a victory parade in Detroit, start thinking twice about the things you put out there. It is 1000% okay to have freedom of speech and put your opinions out there, but there's a real defining line between an opinion and then just being toxic, and just saying things to say things. I don't know if things were said about him or his family or, whatever. They go way beyond the gridiron, way beyond the white lines of the football field, the things that what I'm talking about that shouldn't be said. But as a loyal Lions member and as someone who has a podcast and a voice and an audience and dedicated fans and a fan base that I've been a part of now for 40 years with the Detroit Lions, I have to urge you to be careful, because you're going to start pushing people out. They don't want to be part of something if it's negative. And they certainly don't want to be the guy that everybody hates because he might have dropped a ball. What about Jahmyr Gibbs? Why are we running him out of town? He fumbled the ball at the 20-yard line, 22-yard line? Well, why not him? What about Aiden Hutchinson? He missed a bunch of tackles in the last half. Or Alex Anzalone? Come on. Why don't we fire on those guys? Guys got to be better than this, man. This is the stuff that I really dislike. There's one way of, and where I was going with what I was saying is, I can be critical, right? But it comes from a place of stats and analytics and facts. There's a difference between utilizing factual data to form an opinion or to have a conversation and educate, a group of people watching your podcast and then have them conversate back with you. It's a give and a take. But that doesn't mean that I'm out here hardlining saying, oh my God, this guy sucks. He needs to be off the team. Look at what he did, blah, 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 blah. I mean, whatever people are saying. We should have won that game if Josh Reynolds didn't drop a pass. I can only imagine. I mean, I'm sure that's not even close to the negative stuff that was said, but I'm not going to say it here. So I've seen some of the stuff. I've seen some of the stuff in my own podcast, in the chat where people are just, really irate and upset over Josh Reynolds and didn't want him back on this team. He was one of the first guys I wanted back. And Josh Reynolds, if you ever see this man, you know who I am. You know that I was all about you, my guy. You didn't lose the championship. It's the ultimate team game for a reason. There was a lot of things that went wrong in that game. A lot. And it wasn't any one person that did it. You could blame Dan Campbell too. Hell, you could even blame Brad Holmes. Maybe we did need another defensive ally on our team to help us get through that second half. Somebody that could have helped us adjust. You could blame Aaron Glenn for putting us in the wrong defense. There's a lot of blame to go around. And that's what makes a team game so beautiful. Is that it's not any one person that has to go out there and win it, but when they win it together. It takes a lot to do it. And it takes a lot to keep these good players in Detroit. So I urge you guys, I don't want to say beg, but I urge you guys, this is a very important time for Detroit sports. And we have to be better as fans. We have to show the rest of the world why we are the best fans in the NFL. Maybe of any sport. I mean, there's some pretty competitive soccer sports out there, soccer teams, but they're super diehard. I don't know if we're to that level yet, but I like to think we are, at least. I think you know what I'm getting at there. Can we be better, please? At least try. Look, it's okay to have an opinion. It absolutely is. It's okay to be upset. And a lot of us were. Some of us still are. Some creators and people that I know still haven't gotten over the fact that we lost that game. But they're not out here, just criticizing to death some of these players that, may or may not have had a bad game that day. And they're certainly not picking just one out over the rest. So let's be better. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't plan on wasting 15 minutes of my life on this today, but I felt like I needed to say something because I truly believe that the fan base is much better than what it has been in the last several weeks. All I can tell you is this. If you want to go back to the feeling that you had between, starting in week 1, beating Kansas City in Kansas City, and then week 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Or no, we lost to the Ravens. So if you want to minus those couple of games in the first, 10, 12 weeks, if you want those feelings back of how excited you were, amped up you were, talking about your Lions everywhere, wearing your gear every day, going into work super proud, then be better fans. Because it all starts here. How we carry ourselves is how we help carry our team. That team relied on us last year. They relied on us to show up. They relied on us to show out at the games. That's who we are. Continue to be that fan, whether we win or whether we lose. There's enough of us out here that are able to be critical. It takes a different fan to, find a way to be positive. So be positive. Just let's be better fans.